Business Awareness Hour with Norman, the Awareness Guy. Now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Awareness Hour. My name is Norman Wasserman. Lori, how did you sneak in over here? All
I
right,
don't know.
hang on. You're supposed to be in the green room,
I
but
was.
now you're in the blue room. So you hang out where you are. Anyway, we're going to welcome our co-host. Actually, we have two co-hosts tonight. We have Linda Grace Farley and we have Lori Landon. I'll just introduce Lori first. Lori is the director, founder, chief cook and bottle washer of the Lori Landon Foundation, which is an international service organization helping people in need. All right. Her key word there, mine is awareness, hers is need.
Yep.
You know, and I'm also privileged to do Lori's fundraising with concerts around the country as well. So I'm pleased to do that. Now, my right hand and my left hand and my mouthpiece is Linda Grace Farley. And Linda is with us every Wednesday evening as co-host of the show. And Linda, let's say hello to everybody and tell everybody what you do.
Oh, hello, everyone on Wednesday land here with the Business Awareness Hour. I am Linda Grace Farley. My business is Cycles of Life Management Service, where I look at and help assist my clients in body, mind, and spirit. From a body perspective, I promote an FDA Class 2 cleared medical device called the Beamer. Maybe some of you in the audience are aware of that. I'm very committed to helping people, and the Beamer helps to restore their health through giving more oxygen and to the cells and watching them do their thing. So, Linda Grace Farley, Cycles of Life Management Services. At your service, Norm.
Oh, thank you much. Now I'm going to be at Lori's service. Lori, tell our fans what it is that you do.
Well, I am just blessed to be able to travel around the world and serve people in need. We save lives. We help orphans, children who are in need, both medically with food, water, clothing, school supplies, school fees. We have a soccer club in Kenya. Amazing things are happening. We have libraries and learning centers and educational centers for children. We have we're working on building a training center for single mothers to learn sewing and beauty salon work so they can have businesses to sustain themselves. We serve the veterans, the homeless, the schools here in the country in US. And we're currently working in 6 countries and we have over 25 waiting to open service in. And I feel blessed every day to be able to help others. That's what I do.
Well, welcome to the show this evening. Now it's time to introduce our guest. And we're really privileged. We have the Dr. Manoj Krishna, who is coming to us from Yorkshire, England. All right, good evening, Doctor, and welcome.
Good evening, Norman, Linda, and Lori.
So wonderful.
I know that you know Lori very, very well. And
Yes.
It's a pleasure to have you meet Linda Grace Farley, because you and her are going to be also very, very good friends. Well, we welcome you here to the show. And I got some questions to ask you. Actually, we all have some questions to ask you. You represent a company called Happier Me.
Yes.
But you are a spinal surgeon. Explain that one to our fans.
Well, I was a spine surgeon for about 30 years. And one evening I was driving home from work, and a hospital in the Middle East got bombed. It was a children's hospital. There was a war going on. Kids were screaming on the radio. And I was really moved by that. And I felt we humans need to do better. We can do better. And we have the wisdom in the world to do better. But why is it not more widespread? How can we be killing children and regard ourselves as civilized by any means? And I kept thinking somebody else is going to step up. The understanding I had was really simple, but I thought the impact of that could be profound. So, you know, when you're called to step up, you're an ordinary human being, but you know that this is how change begins. So I transitioned out of medicine. I started talking to schools and colleges. and bringing this deeper wisdom to them. And I made an amazing discovery. Kids already have it. In fact, every human being has this capacity to discover their own inner light and shine in the world. But it's because we don't do that, that humanity is in the mess that it's in. So I began this journey. We started this project. It used to be called Human Wisdom, and we changed the name to Happier Me. And I was so impressed with these kids and their innate wisdom. Do you know, when I asked 10-year-old kids, I said, how do you think we can end war? You ask adults the question, they'll come up with all sorts of stuff, why it's not possible, right? Kids will have a very simple answer. They'll say, just to realize we're the same ice cream, just different flavors. Vanilla ice cream would never go to war with chocolate ice cream because it was different, because it knows it's still ice cream. We've forgotten that. We've forgotten that we're still underneath the same human being, whether we're Republican or Democrat or Russian or Ukrainian or Palestinian or Jewish. We've forgotten that. And that's why humanity is where we are. So all we're doing with Happier Me is helping people connect with their own inner light by understanding themselves and how their minds work. And once you're connected with that inner light of yours, you can shine in the world. You can live in peace with yourself and others. And that's going to make the world a more peaceful and a kinder place for everyone. So this understanding is so simple, but I feel the impact of that could be profound. And we could create a better future for humanity. And we need to, because we have less than 100 years before the wars break out over water and oil and, all of that. And they're already starting, right? Someone who comes to Earth from, say, another planet would say, you guys are the most clever species on this planet, but the most unintelligent, right? We spend $1.5 trillion on arms every year, and 1 billion people go hungry every day. Some in the richest countries in the world. 1 million people in the UK use food banks every year. So, you'd think, sure. So when I talk to a bunch of kids or I go give a big lecture in a hall, I say, right now, from tomorrow, we're all going to stop eating, because this half of the room is worried that half of the room is going to attack them. So we're all going to spend the money instead and go buy guns. They all start laughing. I said, that's what human beings are doing. That's what we're doing. And it's not anybody's fault, you see. What's happening is we don't understand our own hidden mind. So I'll give you an example. Say I'm Russian and you're Ukrainian, or I'm Northern Irish, Catholic, Protestant, doesn't matter where you are, Indian, Pakistani. We're about to kill each other, and we pause and do something really revolutionary. We pause and ask a question, why? Why am I about to kill you, Linda, or you, Norman, or you, Laurie? I don't even know you.
Exactly.
We haven't met. And yet, we're about to kill each other. And we're just asking a revolutionary question. Why? And then I realized, okay, just for 10 minutes, let's just ask this question, why? Mm-hmm. And then I realized I'm Russian. Why am I Russian? Oh, because I'm conditioned that way. I was born that way. Did I ever pick that identity? No. Why am I Ukrainian? It's my conditioning. So it's our conditioning that's making us kill each other. Okay. Are we aware that we're conditioned? Oh, no, we're not. And yet we're attached to this conditioning, aren't we? We're attached to our identity and our opinions and our beliefs and all of that. Mm-hmm. We never question. The moment we ask why, we'll put our guns down. So let's talk. Let's figure this thing out, right? Because my right hand would never go to war with my left hand. because it knows it's part of the same body. And if we can connect with our own humanity, we'll see that we're all actually deeply the same human being. And we would live in peace with ourselves, with compassion for ourselves and others. And it comes from this simple understanding. Let me give you another example of how this word conditioning operates. It's just our past influences that have been stored in our mind, and how understanding it can lead to compassion and love. Okay. So I'm giving a talk to a school, about 100 teachers. I'm talking about conditioning and all of this. And at the end, about an hour and a half later, a lady comes to me and she's crying. So I start to apologize. And I said, I'm really sorry if I said something that upset you. She said, no. What you've said has helped me to forgive my parents. So I said, okay, tell me a story. So she said, I had a boyfriend who had a different skin color to mine. My parents refused to accept him. But we married anyway. But for 20 years, nobody has spoken to anyone. There's heartache every day. My parents haven't spoken to the grandchildren. And, I miss my parents, but nobody has picked up the phone and talked to anyone. And, this is repeated all over the world, right?
Oh, of course.
She said, but you said something today that has helped me forgive them. And I said, what is that? And she said, now I realize that their opinions and thoughts and actions came from their conditioning influences after the war.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not aware that they're conditioned, right? And yet they're really attached to that opinion, whatever it might be. If you think of all of history, this is what's happened. But she said, what's brought compassion is I realize I am the same. My opinions and beliefs come from my conditioning, which I wasn't aware of until you pointed it out just now. So that understanding that it's the same process in you and in me, but we are both not aware of it, that has brought compassion. See, I don't know if Jesus was a historical figure, but I love this quotation. Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they know not what they do because they don't know their condition. They're not aware of their conditioning. They're not aware that they're attached to their conditioning. And if, all our politicians woke up to that, they wouldn't be at war with each other. You see?
Yeah.
All over the world, I'm saying. It doesn't matter where you are, And then we'd see, and once you understand that, then all your prejudices disappear, because all our prejudices are based on conditioning, right? I am whatever I am, and you're whatever you are, or, and so on. So see how simple this is? Children get it like that, but we're not. And once you wake up, Hillary Clinton said this beautifully, once you see something, you can't unsee it,
Yeah.
So once you see clearly that every opinion and belief and so on that you have comes from your conditioning, then you can find a way to connect with somebody else as a human being deep down and put those differences to one side because they're relatively superficial. See, it's like chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my little intro to that very long answer to a very short question. Sorry, Norman.
Beautiful.
So
I could
Norm,
listen to you talk the whole hour.
I told you.
and I'm sitting on my hands, and I am trying my best not to keep. Yeah, agree with you, because everything you said is spot on, and the conditioning, they will fight to the nth to protect that conditioning. I mean, so if you look at history, like you mentioned, the Irish came over here back in Revolutionary War days, right? And they came off the boat. They were recruited. Oh, we're going to take care of your family. And then they put them to war. And they actually fought in the South against their cousins. And
Right.
they asked why. So you had deserters, obviously, but when it's about perception, because people are carrying on that tradition. If you look at different places in the world, I can mention a few, which probably wouldn't be a good thing for this broadcast, but you ask why. It's because what they know in their tradition in I don't want to say supporting their lineage or
Culture.
thank you. They
Yeah.
will follow that culture to the death. And even though they may be at death's door, they pull from within, and then okay, you got to go. And that's the sad reality. But
The thing
you
is,
have people questioning the why.
our mind is, yes, because our mind is wired in such a way that it doesn't serve us all the time, you see, but we're not aware of it.
Exactly.
Another example of conditioning in action is past trauma. 70% of the people in the world, according to some research, suffer from some past trauma. Okay. If you think about it, the scars we have as a kid, fallen, they've all healed. See, physical scars heal, right? But emotional scars don't. Why?
Right.
Why does our mind hang on to these memories and keep them alive? Because we're not aware, we're conditioned, you see. How our mind has shaped our thoughts and our behavior without our awareness or our permission or our consent. So once I wake up and realize, my past is running my life for me. See, I can then use my intelligence, which I have plenty of, to decide how I want to live in the present. But first, I have to wake up and realize what my mind is doing to me. See, and there's so many people in the world, millions and millions and millions, who carry the weight of all that past trauma, and it's completely blighting their life today.
Yeah,
they don't see it, you see, because we're not educated.
They support,
This is why this understanding needs to become part of education. Right? So my passion is that we need to bring this understanding to education. So we're educated only about the world around us, but not ourselves. So we know much more about math, science, geography. Go ahead,
I would like to ask Lori a question. How did you and Dr. Krishna meet?
We connected on a networking event that I attended, and he reached out. We connected through, I believe it was through LinkedIn initially. Sushma, I believe, was one of those that helped connect us, if I'm not mistaken. And yes, we got on one-on-one, and I have the Giving Heart Movement and the Lori Lundeen Foundation. The Giving Heart Movement is a movement based on spreading kindness and giving around the world. And when we spoke, it was like our visions were the same. We have this connection that we're both trying to accomplish the same mission in life, really. And I just loved what he shared. I loved what he's doing, and it just drew me in. And so I've partnered with him, and you'll find out more about that in a little while. I'm sure he'll talk about that, but it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that he's doing, and he's dedicating his life to. It's this mission.
Dr. Krishna, if somebody would like to get in touch with you and find out more besides your website and email, how can they get in touch with you?
I think the best thing is a website is happierme.app. My email is manoj@happierme.app. That's a simple one. You can just email me there. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. So yeah, those are the best ways, I think. LinkedIn or my email. That's probably the best. Thank you, Norman.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure to have you here. I'm calm.
He's very calm.
Norman is not normally calm, but Norman is calm this evening. Lori, I'm going to give you a minute or two because I know if I give you any more, you'll be talking for the rest of the evening. Give everybody an idea of what the Lori Foundation does.
Well, we have saved over 350 individual lives through medical care. We have saved and provided for thousands of orphan children in multiple countries, food, water, medical, school supplies, school fees, clothing. We rescued 277 orphans from a flood in the slums in Nairobi, Kenya. We have learning centers and libraries that we're building, training centers. We have a soccer club that is impacting the entire country of Kenya just beautifully, the things they're doing, working on putting in garden spaces, agricultural spaces to provide food, skill training, and job opportunities. We are serving the veterans here. We're serving the homeless. We're serving the school systems. And through our events, Norman, that you and I have partnered together with, that's a way we're able to bless other schools and other organizations who want to be involved with me. We are able to create a benefit for them and fundraiser opportunity for them as well. So there's a lot of things we're doing, and every country we open is having different needs. So we're just looking to find what those needs are, individuals, families, and organizations, and we're just trying to serve their need, help them become self-reliant and want to give back. And they end up joining us in the giving, which is that part about the Giving Heart Movement, where we're spreading this love, spreading this kindness and giving attitude. And I'm bringing these nations together to serve together. These people are becoming like brothers, like sisters, and joining together and serving their people in different countries. And it's just beautiful. It's just
question for you. How has Dr. Krishna's organization helped you?
Well,
what has Dr. Manoj Krishna, how has he helped you and your charity?
Well, he and I have the same kind of vision. And so we're looking at spreading what he has worldwide. Mm-hmm. And this is going to benefit the foundation in that it is an opportunity to raise some funds for my foundation as well, which I will donate to the foundation. But it's also allowing me to fulfill my mission of spreading kindness and giving worldwide. And that ties into the giving of the foundation. And so they kind of go hand in hand. That's the way I see it. They go hand in hand and they benefit each other. And together we're able to spread this kind of an attitude of love and calm. And you notice that calmness you mentioned, Norm. When I listen to him too, it brings that peace and calm, which is what our people in the world today are missing. Mm. There is so much lack of peace. And when I was in Africa, in Uganda, they gave me a name that meant apostle of peace, because I was able to provide that peace, that hope, that light, that love, that acceptance that they were lacking at that time, the people I was visiting. And I see that worldwide. There is so much chaos, so much stress, so much turmoil. People find it difficult to feel that calm and peace, which we need in our lives to have true happiness and joy.
Well, we're going to give some calm and peace now to Linda Farley before she busts, because she looks like she wants to say something.
No, you know something, Norm? I'm just sitting in the flow right now. I mean, it's like the wave. And Dr. Krishna, you understand, the oxytocin was flowing. Like when I knew you were going to be in here, I was like, oh yeah, I could just, but it's truly irrelevant. Coming back to it's irrelevant because the ego is saying, oh, well, I align with you type of thing. But it's not necessary to say. So from a spiritual perspective versus an ego perspective, I don't need to talk. And does that make sense? You know, because you've said it all. Yeah. And I could just kind of like add to what you've said, but what would be the point? It's just my my version, my opinion, my whatever that would contribute to what you said. Not everybody would, when they have an opinion, they will fight to death for that. They will never admit that they're wrong.
It's
And if we
conditioning.
could,
It's
right?
just
If we
conditioning.
can, exactly. And it's through the lineage, yeah, all that stuff. But if we can just coming together and just feeling this peace, energetically, right? That peace is permeating beyond this. Whoever listens to this broadcast is going to feel that peace and want to do something.
They will.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
So-
Lori, I had asked you, how did Dr. Krishna's organization help you?
Mhm.
All right. Doctor, how has Lori's organization helped you?
Well, she's brought you and me and Linda together. So that's a great start. And she's opening doors all over the place. But if I may just pick up on what Lori said about peace, and you see, we're born and conditioned again from childhood to be successful in the world. Now, success for most people means money and fame, right? Power. But there's no peace. See? So
Yeah.
what we want to do is to widen that definition of success to mean you're also a successful human being. You aspire to be a successful human being who has this sense of peace inside, who lives with compassion and goodness. Compassion for oneself too, right? Because a lot of people have no compassion for themselves. And have successful relationships, you avoid addiction and all of that. And you're a beacon of light in the world. So my passion is to bring this understanding to children, adults everywhere in the world. When you think of your future and where you're going to put your energy, don't just think of money, fame, and power. Think also of connecting with your own light, of being a successful human being, a beacon of light in the world. Yeah, and it's not religious or anything. It just comes from understanding yourself and understanding your own mind. So simple, but so profoundly beautiful too, you see.
Yeah.
It's so true. When I was in Uganda, I was in a mud home, and it was before I was about to speak to a large group in the community and children, and they were feeding me a meal. And of course, they were in this mud home. They didn't have any material possessions. And we were eating, and I said to them, it costs a lot for me to travel here. Would you rather that I use that money to get you the medical care, the school supplies, the clothing, the food, the things that you don't have, that you need? And they looked at me and they said, Lori, no. They said, you being here is so much more important. And I realized that those material possessions, though they needed them desperately, they had no food. I mean, they didn't have possessions. But for them, the love, the giving them value and feeling accepted, and that peace, that light, that hope that I was able to give was so much more valuable to them. And it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. And I will never forget that moment. But I know, like you just said, Manoj, it's that peace that we lack. All around the world, people are in such contention. There's no peace. But if they had peace, the other things wouldn't matter so much. It's that calm and peace.
Yes. And it begins in the school playground, Lori.
Yeah.
Why are kids so mean to each other? Because they're suffering, you see.
Yeah.
When you're suffering, you want to make other people suffer. And it's a form of release when you take out your anger and suffering on other kids. Why are our cities so riven with violence? Why do we have gangs, gun violence? because inside people are suffering. See, the spate of gun attacks, in North America and violence all over the world. It's because people are suffering. And what we're offering is a way of healing that suffering from the inside. Do you know what I mean? You can heal your own trauma. You can heal your own wounds and be whole as a human being if all you need to do is begin your journey to understand your own mind, connect with your own light, and you're free.
Mm.
And
And
if
it
we could
doesn't-
bring this to education, so alongside that, sorry, Laurie, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just saying, it doesn't matter what that trauma is. We all have different things in our history, in our past, what we deal with. What he has available can help with whatever that is. And it's just beautiful because everyone will be able to
Yes.
use it individually for their own needs. Yeah, sorry.
Dr. Krishna, does
like a
your
toolkit.
organization?
Yeah. It's a toolkit. I love that. Yeah.
My question is, Lori explained what her organization does and how they help people as best as possible. Does your organization do the same thing?
So we have an app, Norman. It's called Happier Me. You can download it from all the stores, or you can go to our website, happierme.app. And what it does is it helps you feel better now. It doesn't matter what you're going through. But then it says, would you like to feel better tomorrow and the day after and next year too? So it's like a fire extinguisher that helps put out the fire in your mind now, but then says, let's go find out why that fire started in the first place, so it doesn't occur again. So all we're doing is helping people go deeper, understand their own mind so they can lead happier lives, overcome their traumas, have healthy relationships, deal with addiction or avoid addiction, and be successful in the world. So we have an app which is comprehensive. The one for adults is already out there, and one for teenagers is coming in a couple of months.
So may I ask a question, Dr. Krishna? What were the contents of the app that would give the opportunity to tap in to being happy? Does that make sense what I just said? I mean, I'm not sure if I articulated that correctly.
Yes, it does. Yes. No.
Because I could look at an app.
So again, it's the question is, no. It's a question that opens the door, Linda, you see.
Mhm.
I love asking questions. So the question is, what gets in the way of being happy? See, if you ask yourself that,
Mhm.
what gets in the way of, why is the human mind prone to unhappiness when we have been gifted with so much? So, and once you ask that question, you'll start learning so many things. Like, number one, we take what we have for granted. We're always looking for something new, aren't we? And it's not your mind or my mind, the human mind does that.
Mhm.
So whatever you have, the beautiful pictures on the walls of home, you don't notice that anymore. Once you realize this is what your mind is doing, you wake up and say, oh my God, I need to wake up and look around and see what I have to be grateful for.
Mm.
Or you notice how the mind is always wanting to postpone happiness. When I go on holiday, I'll be happy. When I, earn $1 million, I'll be happy. And so we're always postponing our happiness. Or, for example, our mind is comparing itself with everyone without our own awareness. So if my neighbor has a new car, without realizing why I'm unhappy, because I don't have one, And it's illogical. With 8 billion people on the planet, somebody's going to have more than me or something that I don't have. Am I going to spend my whole life being unhappy? So when I realize my own mind is making me unhappy because it's comparing myself with others, it stops. Or Here's another one. My mind is always looking for someone else to say nice things about me. It's looking for external approval before I like myself. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if people don't say, well done, I think, oh, I'm a terrible person. I'm no good. I'm useless. And I'm thinking, my mind is doing that to me. You see? So when I'm just giving you 3 or 4 examples, but like that, there's about 10 or 15 that the app reveals to you, or through questioning, you can learn how your mind is coming in the way of you being happy, or kinder, or less stressed, or less anxious, and or more loving, and all of that, you know?
But like you had mentioned earlier, it's about the emotion. So emotion, somebody had an emotion that from a trauma or something that happened to them. Most times you can go back energetically and you could see, like between 0 and 7, something happened, that emotion, because that's when you're in theta mode. Yeah. And something happened and they carry it all the way through their adulthood. It's time to go back to that and revisit it.
And it affects generations, you know.
Absolutely.
And then it affects your children, and then their children. It's all impacting all of them.
And when you ask the why, like Dr. Krishna, you had mentioned, why?
Yeah.
They can't answer it, except they are doing an injustice if they don't carry on the lineage of doing that. They you know, the other thing that came to mind was, in reality, there's a lot of people out there, they're not living their lives. They're living the lives of their parents.
Exactly.
They cannot come into their own unless they've walked away from that.
No, they don't have an own.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They have what their parents have
it's just
told them.
this self-awareness.
Yes.
Yeah. This deeper understanding brings wisdom. That's the best simple way to put it. And everybody is capable of this wisdom.
Yes.
Sorry, you're going to say something, Lori?
I was just saying that his app helps you dive deep inside and find that within you. Mm-hmm. It gives you the resources and the tools to be able to manage your emotions, to be able to understand, to be able to fix some of those issues so that you can live in more peace and more calm and happy.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Norm, can we look at that, his app?
Absolutely, if we can get it up. Dylan, do you have that?
Okay.
Because I think our
I'm going to share my screen and show it to you. Okay. Yeah, shall I? Okay. So the app is called Happier Me, and it's also on the website. It's called happierme.app. Mm-hmm. And so you can open it on the computer as well. And right at the top, there's a section called Feel Better Now, like your fire extinguisher whenever you have an emotion that's really powerful. And there's a range of things, for example, whatever you're feeling, stress, anxiety, boredom, depression. So when you say click on the stress button, you'll get a breathing exercise, then a short audio meditation, a video, and a longer video to watch, all of which will help you feel better right now. And then there's an invitation to go deeper, to understand what are the root causes of stress in our own lives, and why is our mind wired to making us feel stressed. This understanding can help prevent suicide and self-harm. Because, when we're stressed, our mind zooms into the problem and focuses completely on that. For example, if I fail an exam, I feel my whole life is a failure. Mm-hmm. Or if somebody leaves me, I feel I'll never be loved again. And when you go through the app and we look at, say, 14 ways you can respond to stress with wisdom, all you can do is change yourself, but sometimes that changes everything. So the first thing we do is breathe, pause, slow your reaction down. And the second thing, that's on the app, we also have this online journal. So every few screens, you're asked a question. And when you write your answers, they go into your private journal. But it's in answering that question for yourself that the transformation can begin inside yourself. But the second thing, and this is a tip for all listeners, is to zoom out and regain perspective. Because your mind has zoomed in and you think your whole life has ended there, and you jump off a bridge or you do something stupid. But if you zoom out, you realize it's just an exam. You can sit it again. Or someone's left you, but yeah, tomorrow you'll find somebody else. Your business has failed. Doesn't matter. Your life goes on. And then when you zoom out, you can say, what have I still got to be grateful for? And so on. So this way, the app guides you to 14 different ways you can respond to stress with your own wisdom right now. So that's the Feel Better Now section. There's a daily practice with a breathing exercise and question of the day. There's a quotation, a meditation, and a challenge. You can track your progress. You can see your happiness score. Take the survey. And then all our topics are divided into 8 broad subjects: work, mental health, relationships, addiction, dealing with loss, meditations, how to manage your emotions. And each of these has a lot of depth to it. So, for example, the mental health section has modules on stress, anxiety, depression. And these are ways you can help yourself. Our need for approval, or dealing with bullying, or dealing with social media. We also have life stories, guided questions. See, I love questions because it's the right question opens the door to this connecting with your own light or your own wisdom. They're short videos, podcasts, past events, meditations, and blogs. So there's a lot of content on the app. Then when you go to the Explore section, we've got a coaching community, and Laurie's going to join that shortly. We have a group of coaches from around the world who are available to help users with additional support if needed. And then there's this program called Pathways. So suppose you want to develop yourself to be an excellent human being. Once you've put out the fire in your mind, now you want to grow and develop as a person. And you want to be successful as a human being, not just in the world outside. So then you have this 5-step program. It starts with developing a calm mind. We have meditations and breathing exercises. Then it goes on to learning the art of inquiry. How do you learn about yourself? What is awareness? What is insight? How to ask questions, and so on. Then you learn how your mind works. We've talked about just 2 things today, conditioning and comparison. But there are all sorts of other things like self-interest, our identity, our emotional needs we're not aware of, or our need for approval, for example. Then you go on to understand and manage your emotions. You know, the other day, Norman, you like this, a man told me that for the first time in his life, he realized his wife wasn't responsible for his anger. And that transformed their relationship because he realized his anger came from his own unmet expectations. And his expectations came from his conditioning. And you know, at the moment, 30% of the women in the world are physically or sexually abused in their lifetime. And this is a way I feel of helping people question their own thinking. And once you can do that, you realize your anger, it comes from inside you. It's not always caused by what's happening in the world. And then you can take this understanding and apply it to everything. Whether you want to have happy relationships, 50% of our relationships are unhappy. Or you want to be less stressed. 80% of us feel really stressed. Or you want to boost your communication skills or be happier. Or learn how to be more loving or overcome an addiction. 1 in 6 Americans at the moment has a substance abuse disorder. And 120,000 Americans took their own lives or died from an opioid overdose last year. And this is data in America, but it's the same in Europe and the rest of the world. So all this suffering is avoidable with this simple self-understanding. And then we have other things. We have podcasts and blogs and life stories and events. So, for example, our podcast section has more than 70 podcasts on leadership or on better decision-making or being more positive in life or solving problems or living with compassion or dealing with grief. So many people are unable to process their grief because they haven't been taught how to do that. Mm-hmm. And so on. So there's lots there. And at the bottom, we also have this online journal. So there's a question of the day. For example, today's question is, how comfortable are you with being alone? There's a whole range of guided questions on all sorts of different subjects. And if you take 10 minutes to answer this question, like being happier, at the end of it, you'll be left with a fresh insight on how you can be happier right now. And at the bottom of the page, we've got a section called Make the World a Better Place. So how you can apply this understanding to reduce conflict in the world or deal with climate change or tackle racism and so on. So I hope that's just given you a very brief tour of the whole thing. I'm sure there's a 2-week free trial so people can download it and access the app for free. And I'd love to get people's feedback. Download it, have a look for yourself and decide whether it's for you. And if you choose to subscribe, it's 10 cents or 20 cents a day. That's it. There's not much at all.
That's not bad. No, that's not bad at all. You know what I liked about this? Yeah, Dr. Krishna, you know what I liked about this? The very first, how you feeling now, that one section, when you're in the moment of a anxiety or anger or whatever, you got to get rid of that energy. The best way, you got to have action. The best way is you start writing, and that energy, the emotion will just flow down your hand and into that pen, and you could put exclamation points and because that's an expression, but then the energy dissipates, and you can look at, why did that
beautifully
trigger
said
me? Yeah,
very beautifully said, Linda. Perfect. And so our online journal does that. So you do the breathing work, you calm down, and then you do the journaling. It comes out of your head onto paper. And then you can ask a question. What's going on? Why am I feeling all this stuff? And then the app offers you a guide. Okay, let's explore anger, or let's explore envy, or whatever it is. Let me learn about what's going on. And the more I learn, the more free I become.
Dr. Krishna, are you doing any fundraising for your organization?
Yes.
And if so,
we're raising,
how do people?
So we've had some investors raise. We've raised some money before, and we're now raising $2.5 million for expansion around the world. App for teenagers is coming soon. But you see the scale of the problems this understanding could solve. Can you imagine something that could help deal with mental health, or avoid mental health problems, or tackle addiction at its root, or help with reducing violence in the world, or reduce the conflict in relationships? I heard this amazing stat: 49% of Americans who are married get counseling at some point in their lives. So it just gives you an idea of how much unhappiness there is in relationships. And this simple understanding, because the more I understand me, the better I understand you, we can solve problems at scale. 1 in 5 teenagers has a mental health. See? So this money we're raising could help us expand around the world and into different languages. And I think it could make a real difference in the world and be a good business at the same time.
Now, if somebody would like to make a donation to you, whether it's $5 or $5 million, how would they go about doing that?
Just drop us an email and we can begin a conversation. We'd love that, you know. That's my email, manoj@happierme.app. And if what I've said resonates with you and you'd like to find out more or contribute in some way, please do get in touch. But I really believe that this work we're doing could heal so much of the division and trauma and pain in the world.
You know,
I'm going to ask you to, on the profile, you started writing, we had asked you about an interesting story. And you started writing something about some children. You didn't say where, but do you remember the story that you wrote that you could tell everybody tuning in?
Okay. Yes. Oh, I've got so many children's stories. So many children's stories. Well, I already told you one about the ice cream. So when here's one. So I was talking to these kids in a school, and I was talking about envy. And, I said, your friend gets more marks in maths than you. How do you feel? This girl said, well, I don't like my friend because I feel she's making me feel bad because she's showing off. I don't like myself because I think I'm no good. And I don't like the subject because I think, why should I bother? Because I'm no good at it, you see. And then I went on and explained to her how it's not the friend's marks that are making her feel bad. It's her mind that's comparing. So then I asked her the simple question. I said, how would your life change if you were in charge of your own mind and you only compared yourself with others when it served you and not automatically like it's doing now? She said something really beautiful. She said, I would be free. This is a 10-year-old girl. So the wisdom of children, to me, is unsurpassed. And we lose it as we become adults. And I'd love to bring this into education so that it becomes learning about yourself, call it what you like, self-knowledge, is as important a subject as math, science, geography, history, all of that. And when I talk to the kids, they say, absolutely, it's far more important than any of this other stuff because you'll forget everything else you learn in school. Like, what do we remember of what we learned? But you'll never forget how to deal with stress or anxiety or loneliness. Do you know the number one problem in the world right now, in the developed world, is loneliness? 60% of people feel lonely, and they don't need to feel lonely. And they're lonely because either they don't have a connection with themselves, or we don't know how to have deep connections with other humans. We've forgotten the art. But if we can learn that art of connecting deeply, we can heal our own loneliness, It all begins with self-knowledge.
Boy, Norm, could you see, the wheels are turning, right? Could you imagine?
When don't they?
I'm listening. Elementary school, you have the teacher use this app.
Yes.
At the very beginning of a class. Instead of saying, oh, time out, you go into the corner, you say, okay, I think you need to be a little bit happier. Here's the app, and give them an opportunity to run the app in the classroom.
Here's the scarier thought. That was a great idea for a teacher to do it, but the administration probably wouldn't even let them.
Yeah.
Well, that's when we have to work on changing
Absolutely
the mindset of the administration.
You have to create change. It would be beautiful. I was a teacher. I know it would be amazing.
People who really get it are kids and parents. parents really, really understand the importance of all this. Do you know one other simple thing? Everyone wants to be successful in the world, and they think their degree is going to make them successful. But all the research is showing your emotional intelligence contributes 80% to your success in the world, and that is not taught anywhere. But this self-understanding makes you naturally emotionally intelligent because you understand your emotions. So it not only helps you live in peace with yourself, but also contributes to your success in the world. And why is that not being taught? I just don't understand it, you see.
Yeah, those are the things that we need to be teaching.
So we really need to revolutionize education, all the way from kindergarten to university. And in a generation, we could create a better future for humanity if we could do this. All we need is someone who's listening, who's in a position of authority, and who can make that change to say, let's begin a conversation. Let's figure out how we can do this.
Linda, private schools
It's
and
logical.
start. Yeah.
Even doing
or anyone
something,
who's listening, who's in education.
Yeah. Because when you look at, there's so much stress going on in that classroom. It starts with the teacher. They're under stress. The children come in. We have no idea in the course of the day what their stress they're subjected to, in their home environment. They're going to bring that into the classroom. So starting a program like this is going to change those children. And then when they go home, they may, they'll be able to handle the stress at home a little bit better.
Different kind of stress, you leave your home, you go to school, you're stressed out. The teacher tries to teach you a better way to go and do it. You like that, all right? That's wonderful. Now you go home and you get the same nonsense all over again from your parents. Who taught you that? Who told you that? Who said that you should go and do that? Why do you like that person? You don't have to like that person.
Yeah.
And then you're starting every day is a new start.
But every day, the more that they do something, they're creating their own habit. And they're coming into their own by doing that. And they learn, well, I'm not going to tell my mother or my father because of the reaction. So they internalize it in healing themselves and making themselves a better person. It all starts with that.
That's why, Norman, we're going to have one app. Yeah, we're going to have one app with a section for children, teenagers, adults, and parents. So everyone can benefit from this understanding and learn to live happier, kinder, more peaceful lives. And in education particularly, see, education is all about learning, and all we're saying is learn also about yourself, not just about the world around you. And if we can do that, we can have peace in the world. Do you know how many human beings were killed by other human beings in the last century? 200 million. No other species on our planet does that. We need to wake up and connect with our own inner intelligence. Otherwise, as a humanity, as a species, we're figuratively all collectively about to jump off a cliff. But there is time if we can connect with our own intelligence.
Well, let me just say, you've been an absolute, Doctor, you've been an absolute pleasure having on the show. I don't know if you believe it or not, but the hour is over. Not only is the hour over, I didn't even do my commercials because I was so wrapped up in what you were talking about. So you owe me a bunch of money because of that. And I really want to thank you. You did a wonderful job. I don't know, you didn't notice it, but I was doing breathing exercise as you were chatting.
How do you feel, Norm?
Relaxed.
Yeah, he's definitely more relaxed than normal. Definitely.
I don't know if I like that or not.
May I thank all of you? I'd love to thank you all, Norman, Laurie, Linda, for being my companions this evening. And
You did a great job. You taught us all a lot of stuff, not just a little bit, but a lot of stuff. Now, if we just implement it into our daily lives and lives of other people, that will be great. So let me do this. Just wonderful
you.
job, and we thank you very much for being here. I'll ask you to please hold on. We're going to,
Thank
Lori
you.
and I are going, now Linda and I are going to go. Lori, you can say goodbye to everybody too. But I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in on the Business Awareness Hour. This was probably one of the best guests, if not the best guest, that we've had in 7 years. So compliments, kudos to you, sir.
And I'd like
we'll
to
see
say
everybody.
namaste.
Yeah.
We'll see everybody next Tuesday. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. Love everybody. Right hand, left hand. Breathe. Don't forget to breathe. All right. And God bless everybody. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
This has been the Business Awareness Hour with Norman, the Awareness Guy. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.